Here we go. Welcome, SharePoint Dev Weekly. This is episode 29. It is 4th of March. I'm saying, is it the 3rd of April or 4th of March? But it's still March, right? Unless I've slept way too many days in a row, which probably hasn't happened. So hopefully. So today is Monday, like I said, 4th of March. This one, you will be watching this starting from Tuesday, so tomorrow. This time we invited here David Werner, the second. I have to ask this, David Werner. Do you always say David Werner second, or can we just how do you just do your name?
Anything really. David Werner the second is on
Bob.
the birth certificate. Yeah. Hey, David Werner the second's on the birth certificate. Usually Dave is dad, so when I hear that, I tend to think of my dad. But
yeah,
no junior. Definitely, I'm just
JR.
Yeah.
JR. Cool. So if you those who are watching, if you haven't heard about David, can you do a quick intro as who you are? So.
Sure. So I live in Southern California, do a lot of SharePoint development, try to be as active as in the community. Love the camaraderie. Written some blog articles on that recently. So I really appreciate just the community team chemistry that comes from everything. So I like being involved and helping others and getting help, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you've been really active on contributing on samples, and then one of the things which you're doing as well is the weekly. When we do a weekly recording, the community calls, you're always snapshotting those so that there will be a summary out in 2 minutes, which is really cool.
Yeah,
insanely fast.
Yeah, try to. I do
How do you do that?
Well, I mean, I do prep, multitasking. I have little elves that work for me as well. So.
There we go. That's the trick. I should actually do that. Where can I get those? Where can I get this?
Dear David, Werner the second, not that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you've been contributing also on the SPFX samples, and then column formatting, view formatting stuff. You're doing your own video blocking as well. Yep. You're doing a SharePoint Saturdays in EU based and all of that. So you've been really, really active on this side of the on the MVP, on the community side of things. So yeah. How's your, just out of curiosity, how's your employee, and those are they're liking what you're doing, and that's all good for them?
Yeah, they actually are very supportive, because what we're trying to do internally actually is replicate the success of the PNP to help train everybody internally. So we're trying to provide them the education, and it's been so successful for the way it's worked for the entire global community. We're trying to replicate that internally to help others to contribute, to keep up to date, because there is a lot of moving pieces. And when you're busy and you're working and you're consulting, the end of the day, you have family, or you have, let me go keep up on everything that changed. And so you have to balance that. So they're very supportive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's always great to hear. And it's good to see that more and more, well, you are not a new person in the community, but kind of in the scale of 5 to 6 years, you're a relatively new person in the community, and more people, active people who are interested in contributing are joining the community as well, which is really good. Now, Waldek, what have you been up to?
Hello. You're like, Waldek, I'm here, still here, yes.
Your turn. Come on,
yes.
jump in. What? Ask questions.
Ask, paper, scissors, rock, right?
Yes.
What I've been doing, so last week I spent some extra time preparing for the SharePoint developer training that I'm going to deliver on Wednesday to one of our customers. Other than that, we had a release of the CLI, the big one release, or a release basically, because like we try to release a version every month. So end of the month, new version. And this time around, we had quite a few commands for teams. So that seems like a really new or big area for which there's a lot of interest, both from the users as well as everybody who spends their time to build CLI. Yeah. So we had a few of those, and there's even more coming on in progress, right? So that seems like the new area in which people choose to spend their time on when they think about extending CLI. And other than that, I think that was primarily it. I spent a moment or two looking at the upcoming version of SPFX, and there are some little things about it, so we need to talk, Vesa.
we'll talk on that one later.
Yes.
So let's not do that discussion internally, openly in this video recording. So so we're using some of the MVPs to validate the SharePoint Framework 1.8. So we're kind of they have early access, and then they help us on validating the scenarios, which is super valuable for us because it's a massive resource challenge for us as well to make sure that
there are only so many hours in a day, huh?
Exactly. So
we need more elves.
That's what it is.
Yes,
that is true. We need to figure it out how to make that happen. Now on the SharePoint training, by the way, you said that you're doing SharePoint training for a larger customer. What are you actually covering there? Just out of curiosity.
So actually, the interesting part is that they are going to, if I'm not mistaken, going to 2019 on-prem.
Yep.
And they ask us to tell them a bit more about difference between how you used to build things in the past versus what is the, let's say, modern or contemporary way of doing things.
Yeah.
So we will be going through the whole spectrum of things from add-ins, moving away from WSPs, moving away from server-side code, moving away from XML provisioning to things like remote provisioning, add-ins, SharePoint Framework, and then related to that, ALM, client-side development, things like performance, security around the testing, basically the whole thing, and then both from the what's available first-party versus plus PMP.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty broad thing, and we're going to cover that in 2 days, where I will be doing the part more related to the non-PNP things, and Irvin will do PNP things plus some of the ALM parts too.
And that's Irvin van Hoonen, obviously.
Yes.
Making sure that.
Yes, the Irvin. I mean, there are not
the Irvin.
The many Irvins. Yes.
That's true. That is true. So, are you then reusing the SPFX training material, which we provided as a reusable set of slides and material, or did you recreate everything?
Because, well, for a part, because if I look at before we asked them, like, what would you like to hear? And we came up with a list of topics, and there's things like intro, which is fairly like there's no much new to tell other than just reusing the intro, right? But the moment we get into more advanced things like ALM testing, security of that, like there aren't that many. If I'm not mistaken, there aren't slides for that yet.
Sure. Yeah, the majority of our reusable training material slides are for the basics and getting started, which is no doubt that's the highest demand of things.
Sure.
But that's one thing what we can obviously cover in the links of the video recording as well, because there is already a set of material with the videos and training materials and hands-on labs and demos available for anybody to take advantage and reuse as much as possible.
And I guess it's also the whole point, right? The reason they wanted to have us there is to hear more about our experiences and what we add, right? So us reading the slides that they can do by themselves, like we thought that's something that they could do self-paced, where when we are physically there with them, we could discuss more about, let's say, more advanced things and more things that are open, depend, and so forth and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. Now, on my side, quickly, I'm still working on the same thing, getting the SharePoint Framework 1.8 out, and then the provisioning service. So
just get it out, Vesa.
We're closing in. I can't give you the exact dates, but we're closing in on the dates, which is good. And anyway, MVP Summit is coming, and we're hoping of getting both of these out before the MVP Summit. But right now, I can't promise from a definite answer on what will be the day, because I don't want to promise anything which I can't keep. That's
exactly. And I don't know if you realize that it's going to be the first MVP Summit for our guest.
That is true. Welcome, David, on the
thank you.
MVP Summit.
I'm excited. you should release 1.8 in the middle of a session at Summit and watch everyone freak out. Start tweeting and
that's precisely why we don't want to actually do that.
You wanted to focus, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Let's go there.
that was an internal joke. And now something which we
On the
discussed
bump.
before, actually, exactly. So let's actually go on the articles of this week. So let's have a discussion on these things. So we have quite a few articles again to go through, and tell me when you can see the screen. So I will be sure that you can see them.
I just realized, yes, so I can see your screen. I just realized one important announcement that we didn't include here.
What is that?
Starting from April, the root site collection of your tenant will be a COM site.
For new tenants, yes.
Yes.
That is right. That is
it's
correct.
a big thing that many people wanted for a long time.
True.
Yep.
Sure. So there was an interesting discussion on this one in the Twitter during the weekend. So I think it was Dan Holma who actually shared that timing. But starting from April, it will be a communication site by default as a root site collection of your tenants. So, and then the immediate follow-up question is, what about existing tenants? And for those, we will be releasing a PowerShell commandlet which you can execute, and so which will basically then start. Or how would I not start? It will enable the communication site functionalities in the existing site. So we're not deleting anything. You should never ever delete the root site collection of your tenant. That will cause you significant headache in the long run. I know that some people might have done that, but then they
not supported.
Will contact. Yeah, they will then contact support at some point when they will run into issues. But anyway, let's not actually dwell on that one. But it's a great change. So we're finally getting there. I think that it needed for the communication side to be mature enough until we can actually start doing that. So finally, it's happening. But more documentation, more details, and all of that coming later. Funny enough, I was just reviewing the code related on that one because there's certain things which we need to still figure out on that one. So anyway, SharePoint Saturday Hyperpad this week in where? Well, obviously in Hyperpad at Saturday and on Saturday. I'll be here the whole week. I know. Well, I will be recording a short video in here as well. I can obviously I can't travel on all of the SharePoint Saturdays, but for them they requested, so I'll do a quick intro or a kind of a short video. I know that Jeff is actually doing a short video for them as well, and I think they have a pretty high set of sessions available already. So pretty nice setup coming up on Hyperpad as well. So a lot of MVPs present, and seems to be a good set of sessions which are available. Now, on other topics, what we wanted to call out, there's a new version of the BMP SPFX generator. Just to make sure that everybody is aware of this one, this is the generator which extends the out-of-the-box Yeoman generator, SPFX Yeoman generator, and it adds, for example, capabilities like Azure DevOps-based integration. Additional testing framework is an optional thing. There's a lot of additional capabilities which are on top of the out-of-the-box templating. One of the things which people keep on asking is the Angular support for SPFX Yeoman generator, but it is actually already in the BMP SPFX Yeoman generator. So it will create two different projects, and then are able to do development on top of that. And so really, if you have by default, you could be using this rather than the out-of-the-box one. And whenever the 1.8 comes out, quite fast, there will be a 1.8 supported version of this one as well.
Yeah, and that's because it's built on it, right? So a lot of people tend to forget about that. They worry that like, well, what if they stop working or something like that? But it's built on the out-of-the-box, so you're safe.
Yep. Yes, exactly. So it always uses the out-of-the-box one under the hood and then extends on top of it. So as an example, if you create a empty project and solution, but you include the controls in, it will basically just provision the out-of-the-box solution, but then execute additional code to get the additional controls in. So really cool stuff. Now, kind of related on this one, there was two really cool Webparts getting released this week as samples in the GitHub. So from Hugo Bernier, this one is also in the SPFX Webparts around the diagram of Webparts. So really cool stuff from Hugo. And the second one was really cool as well, which is around React comparer. Finglish, hard pronunciation. difficult comparer. But basically what this Webpart is also including is insanely good control, which is actually giving you almost like the out-of-the-box capabilities of modifying images or picking the image from the existing site or from the internet or from other locations as well. Let's wait a second. The image comparing functionality is pretty cool as well, but that's not really the key. The key is actually the following thing. So he's adding the Webpart on the page, clicking it, adding
coming
images.
any moment now. There you go.
Wait
there
for
we
it.
go.
Wait for it.
There it is. But basically, it's a really close to out-of-the-box experience to have a image picker and a file picker available. And Hugo is now working together with Elio and the other MVPs and open source community members on getting this one included in the BMP SPFX controls, which is the donkey bridge, the jump in here. And donkey bridge.
What is that again? What,
Exactly.
preach? New religion or something? No.
Bridge. A bridge.
Segway in
donkey
Finland
bridge, not preach.
Donkey
Ah,
bridge. Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Bridge.
A bridge. Yes. So direct translation from Finnish to English for word segway is donkey bridge, and apparently it's the same thing in Dutch. Which
Yes,
is
it is. Yes, it is.
amazing.
Yeah, it's the way we're all in Europe, right?
Exactly.
We build donkey bridges.
Yes, we do. It doesn't make any sense, by the way. But no, just so whatever Hugo had on the Webpart, there's an ongoing discussion on getting that as a reusable control, then in the property controls or in the SPFX controls React. And these are really, really great controls. Just want to make sure that people are aware of this. There's a growing set of controls, which originally actually are coming. We kind of harvested out of the box Webparts and out of the box functionalities and then released some of the controls from there. But now more and more communities actually contributing this as well. So there's really, really cool stuff related on, which will simplify the development. And I think that's the key point. It will increase the productivity of the developers when they're implementing stuff on SPFX so that you don't have to worry about how a list picker will work. It's for you. You don't have to worry about where the lists are coming. It's directly just available. So really cool stuff.
Yeah, those are hugely beneficial. As someone who develops frequently, you get to focus on innovating instead of redoing what we've always done over and over and over.
Yep, absolutely. And they're all using Office UI Fabric on the back end as the UI. The main difference between this one and the Office UI Fabric is that this one is a SharePoint aware. These controls are SharePoint aware. Office UI Fabric is basically service unaware. So it's basically just the UI, but not where the data is coming from. So really cool stuff. Good. Moving on things. Bart Hamann actually released a new blog post earlier today, Monday, 4th of March. And this is around create Azure DevOps pipelines for Microsoft Teams app built with SPFX. So pretty soon, as part of the 1.8 release of SharePoint Framework, will GA the capability of creating Microsoft Teams tabs using SPFX, which will be then the primary way of creating your Microsoft Teams tabs. And this one is then helping on clarifying how to make the pipelines and DevOps to work on that one. Let's not deep dive too much on the exact details here, but really great step-by-step guidance from Bart Hamann around how to make things. You can actually see the Webpart in both sides. So is it still a Webpart though? If it's a
tab. It's a plane. It's a person.
Well, what should we call it if it's never?
You really want to go that route?
No.
We can call it Donkey Bridge, right?
True.
That was sharp. Yes.
Okay, DevOps, growing interest clearly on the DevOps. So a lot of people are thinking on how to improve the DevOps and doing ALM and the lifecycle management for the SPFX and the deployment. So here's from Frank Cornu around how to use Git flow and Git version in the SPFX context. So really nice set of clarification how things actually work and how you can configure things. So and how you can version also SPFX. So cool stuff. What's what's right and wrong and what's suitable for you within your solution, it really depends. I think Waldek said it really well. Well, if you implement a simple sample, does this mean that you need to actually do DevOps? And the answer is
yes.
No.
Yes, the answer is yes. You always need DevOps, period.
Yes.
You heard it here first.
For the web part or whatever, it doesn't matter. You need
I have fully integrated DevOps pipeline.
So hello
do you
world.
have a
Yes.
exactly.
My hello worlds are fully scripted.
So, you don't have a scorecard related on DevOps or something, or what's
all of them, all of them.
Okay, never mind. Moving on things from Tony Phillip, relatively simple web part. So this is a Google web part, but apparently quite a few customers are asking these kind of things as well. So you can have a search box directly in your intranet front page, and then that actually redirects to the Google.
But actually, there is more to it, because if you look carefully at the property pane, you could even use that with Bing, or you can use that with anything you want, because that's just a text box, the button, and then the labels and the link, right? Yep. So it could be anything.
Yep. And you were able to define the URL where it's actually redirecting.
So it could even as well just use internal search in SharePoint.
Correct. Yep.
There you go.
Absolutely true. That is true. So this reminded me, this is a stupid joke, but spending 2 minutes on this one. So one of my colleagues had a customer case like 10 years ago, and customer wanted to have electronic nose on their intranet. And it's like, what is that? Well, so our company has a significant plan. So we want to have this electronic nose which goes through the internet and scrolls all of the pages where our company name has been mentioned. And it's like, well, is that like Google or Bing? So why would you?
Yes.
Sure, we can actually kind of make this happen in a certain way, but guess how much storage that would require? Anyway, so electronic nose.
Yes.
Hopefully the customer, by the way, doesn't actually hear this. Well, we didn't mention customer name, so all good. The next one from Elio, navigating to other pages in SharePoint framework from code. This follow up on the Julie Turner's around the SPFX anchor tag. So how can you move from one page to another with a full refresh or a partial refresh as well? So and a simple example on how that actually works. So. Good. From Luis Valencia. Luis is an MVP. I think he's based on UK, leveraging BMP, Office BMP core. That's missing capital P though, but all good and doesn't matter. So basically, how would you store the information around multiple tenants in Azure, and then how would you call and connect to those tenants based on BMP site score? And in the BMP site score, as an example, in this case, the BMP site score has this absolutely awesome Authentication Manager class, which is implemented by Bert Janssen, which supports multiple different ways of actually connecting towards SharePoint Online or towards Azure. And that's then enabling certain things. You can use certificate, or in this case, I think we're using a site collection URL, email, and a secret to actually get in. So. But different ways of making things happen, so all good. A lot of articles, by the way. David, you spent quite a lot of time actually on the list formatting as well, right?
Yep, love it.
Yes, it is insanely cool, and you can actually make really, really cool stuff available. So this is from Iyas Hussain, and obviously, well, there is a. It's actually pointing to them. Yes, it is. So if I open up a tab, we can actually see that there's massive amount of existing samples already available from view samples or a column formatting samples in GitHub. And we absolutely welcome additional contributions here as well where suitable. In this case, if we scroll down, we can actually see the outcome. So this is, I think it's a view formatting listing, because it's listing multiple items, and then we're not just listing the things in normal view rendering, where we're rendering those items using the nice card, which is really cool.
Yeah, and for some that don't know yet, the web part has been the list web part has been updated to where you can hide the header. So, I mean, this is a fantastic opportunity to have like a citizen developer be able to create a fantastic, beautiful interface through view formatting, throw it into the list web part on a page, and it looks like a custom web part. I mean, that to me is incredibly powerful. I know there's some Fabric UI, little details that are going to get ironed out, I'm sure, but that's amazingly powerful. I mean, I think that's super, super cool.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, somebody might say if you're not experienced on JSON, somebody might say that, well, that looks a lot like code. So,
well, it is code, right?
It is kind of code. Well, is it code or not? It's JSON.
It is.
So
it's text. It's text and actually it's displayed even in Cody font. So it is code.
Cody font.
Oh, that's the definition of code. Okay. So.
Criteria. Yes, that is criteria for code. Cody font. It's
Cody font.
It's code.
Okay, that's how it works. Okay. Moving on articles. This one was interesting. Single page app in a SharePoint using a React. So this one is around using SharePoint framework style experiences, but in a classic. There is a single part app pages capability coming in SPFX, but that's not yet available. That's only coming in the preview. But this is basically walking through the old process of using a SharePoint designer, which might give bad shivers for many of the people, and then creating a page and then being able to render a completely custom experience on the classic SharePoint side in SharePoint Online. Now, obviously, really cool stuff, but the direction where we're heading in the future is to take advantage on the single part app pages. We'll do live demos potentially on that one actually on this Thursday almost. I could actually do that. Let's see if I can actually make that.
So what alternative approach would you recommend for organizations who are on premises and cannot really use the modern experiences yet?
Depending obviously on which version they are is the one thing. And when you think of it, are they in classic? Are they in modern? So using SharePoint framework.
On classic.
They can still use SharePoint framework if they're in classic on SharePoint 2019 or SharePoint 2016. So,
but then for a full-blown single page app.
Full-blown single page app, I think this solution is quite suitable when I think of it. Why? Because it's using the modern ways of doing customizations, but still, sure, it is actually in a shell of a custom page. But if you're in a classic on-premises, this would then combine the modern ways of doing development, but then on a classic page experience. So, and there's plenty of customers who are still in classic, so absolutely understandable.
Moving on.
So, getting the teams a user is a member via. So which teams I'm a member. So basically, nice clarification from Joel related on the permissions needed, and then the needed code in the SPFX Webparts to getting access on certain information. So nice article on the summary. One thing just for Joel or anybody in general, I would love to, at least personally, I'm a screenshot kind of a guy. It doesn't matter if the screenshot is really minimized or a small but it's just listing things. No, that's fine as long as I can see what's the outcome. The challenge is that now I'm seeing an advertisement here, but I don't actually see the outcome because I can't visualize what this will render. So I don't know.
So in other words, you're openly admitting that you can really read code.
Thank you, Waldek.
The matrix, right? Or some people see the code and some see,
Yeah, that's true.
Things in the matrix.
Yep. So the story is that Beethoven was able to still do the new songs even though he was deaf, right? So that's pretty amazing.
He needed no images.
Exactly.
He never asked for screenshots once.
Exactly. Stop complaining, right?
Fine. This is from Ricardo Celeo around printing modern experience in SharePoint page. Obviously, we were having a debate before we started recording on when would you actually present print stuff, but there are a lot of people who still print stuff. And this is around how would you, there was a nice animation actually here, how would you include a custom page or custom button here, which is then floating and opening the page in a certain status. So you're able to actually get the navigations away and the headers away. So hey, why not? I think it's a nice demo showing also how to add those custom capabilities available as well. So good. Few more deleting pending API permission requests. I think if anybody has implemented a lot of craft permission requests, Webparts and solutions, you might end up having quite a lot of pending requests in your tenant admin UIs. I think sooner or later there should be an update, or I think it's already out, where if you're requesting the same permission which is already there, it's not duplicating the permissions. But in the past it did that, and that then resolved the fact that if you go to the API management UI in the tenant admin, you have I think in this tenant I have like 120 pending permissions. So. Nice PowerShell script on showing how to get rid of those, so cleaning the things. But it's PowerShell. Is CLI supporting this?
Of course.
Of course it is.
Of course. It supported it even before PowerShell, to be honest.
Yes, I do remember that, actually.
Is that a PowerShell first? CLI or PowerShell?
No, totally not. Totally no battle. Totally no competition here. No competition here. Nothing to see. Move on.
Okay,
no, I mean, so the reason for that was that originally there was no API exposed that, and in CLI we made the use of the Azure AD graph. So we went all the way there, where in PowerShell that was scoped only to APIs that you have available in SharePoint. So there was no really direct way around it.
And then we came up with this custom PowerShell commandlet slightly later, and deny and approve slightly later, if I remember correctly. But anyway,
yep.
And it's PowerShell, so it only works in Windows for now because it's not PowerShell Core, which is a separate discussion which we don't want to actually touch right now in this recording. So we're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on it.
Should not take long, huh?
Exactly. And then the last one around from David Ramalho, managing your SharePoint team sites. So nice article around getting a summary of the existing team sites, what you have on a SharePoint, using then OpenXML. So you're creating a workshop sheets per site and adding information around the related on the sites. Sure, if you have hundreds of thousands of sites, maybe the Excel file will be slightly too big to even open.
It will be big.
Again. Yeah. But you would be able to save, for example, individual files, individual Excel files, and all of that. So absolutely, cool stuff. Cool stuff. Good. I think that's our articles. Quite a few articles this time. So let me actually stop the sharing, and let's talk about a few more minutes, and then I think we're closing in for this week. So, David, you have patterns and practices on your shell as well, together with your MVP thing.
Yes. So, well, obviously on all the helmets, I tried to do something unique, right? So I thought, well, I could put teams back there, but then maybe some people will see it and be turned off by a certain team. You know, we're passionate humans. I thought, well, I'll combine football helmets and Microsoft logos, and so that'll be kind of fun, right? Maybe I'll bring up the summit and we'll let everybody battle out or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have the patterns and practices up there, and then Bo Cameron and I started doing little community close-ups, similar to this, but more focusing on an individual person, just kind of the, the people behind the community, so that when we all go to events and we see each other, we're not like, well, I saw him do this blog, and so do I talk to him about that? I don't know. So we'll know people more as people. And so we kind of swap this out for whoever the guest is and put their name up, and just a fun way to put a message.
It's almost like Irvin on my back all the time. So,
well, he used to be the why we dropped him actually. Yeah, we dropped him at some point.
Yes.
Why did we do that?
Well, he was the whale which we couldn't get to the weekly call until we cut it. So that's fine. So
okay, so now we need, in other words, somebody else.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, that's true. Start stalking somebody else. So Jeff Teeper? No.
Easy target, right?
Yeah, that's too easy. Too easy. That's fair. That's actually David on the community. The video thing what you started doing with Boo. That's really powerful. Insanely powerful. I think you did a one with David last week.
Yeah, David Optendries. Yep. So we have we have a few in the community that have come up and said they want to do it, which I think is great because it shows that people want to get to know people and it helps.
And I think that almost every single Saturday there's a SharePoint Saturday or Office 365 Saturday or whatever available, and it absolutely helps on having a face for the name and everything else, so you can approach them, and anybody can approach us, right? So it's like feel free to come and chat with us if you run into us. So
yeah, even for exactly, and even for the speakers, you'll go into the speaker room, and these are folks that communicate every day, all day, through Twitter, through LinkedIn, through every medium that's available to us. And sometimes we just kind of sit there and look at each other like, so like that blog, yeah, cool. But I was like, oh, hey, with David, oh, your daughter's a sailor, and oh, you do this, and so people find that they have a lot more in common than they realized, and it just creates a tighter community.
Absolutely, and you and Bo are the contacts for doing that. So let's keep on doing that, hopefully, in future as well, because I think that helps enormously in growing the community, the awareness between each other. So really cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Thank you.
But I think that's it for now. We have a hard stop, and we actually went a few minutes on top of that already. So I know that Waldek needs to actually jump to another meeting. So I think this is for this one. So thank you, David, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Good to have you here. We'll be chatting more on the MVP Summit in a few weeks. And Waldek, good to have you in the call as well.
Thank you. I feel like a guest. Yes.
You can say good to have me as well. No. Concentrate.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
Good to have you. But you're always there. It's not like an exception. It's like, whoa, Vesa joined the No, it's like it's exceptional if you are not there. And everybody's like, where's Vesa? Good question.
Whatever. Maybe I should actually drop this for a few weeks and you'll run it. So
you could start a little community thing. Remember the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah.
Where in the world is Vesa?
I don't watch that. My kids are, I think, too young for that. So I'm not. I know of it. I haven't watched it yet. So.
Oh no, it's a way old super game. Like my goodness, we're dating myself now. But
there's
like Sierra Games.
Cartoon about it now. I saw it on Netflix. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Which was my association because I totally don't know the game.
Wow. Yeah, I never played it, but I just remember it always being popular. It was one of those like on the shelf where I'm like, King's Quest or that. King's Quest.
There we go.
Doom, Quake.
There we go. And on that bombshell, right?
on the bombshell. Good night. Good day.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Waldek. I will be coming off with a new webcast next week together with Waldek. We'll figure out who's actually the visitor for next week, which we need to actually talk with Waldek later this week. So, but thank you, David, for being here. Thank you for the chat, and thank you for all the contributions you're doing for the community. Thumbs up.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
Thank you, David.
We'll be absolutely in touch.
See ya.